the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really run out of time? And we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school? Please
join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm back after an incredible week in Provincetown. It is so nice to be back. And boy, do I have one of my favorite entertainers to celebrate tonight. Who or what are you celebrating? I hope you'll all be celebrating Karen Oberlin with me tonight and Lorenz Hart, who she will be celebrating. She just recently celebrated Lorenz Hart at the Peasantry in London, but we have her here in New York celebrating at the Laurie Beechman Theatre. As I just mentioned, I just got back from Provincetown, and what an incredible time I had there. I saw Natalie Douglas and Karen Mason and Sharon McKnight and David Mayoko and Edie and Randy Roberts and Zoe Lewis, so many incredible entertainers. If any of you get a chance to get to Provincetown, go and see the great entertainment that's there. You don't have to go to Provincetown to see great entertainment. We have it here in New York. And like I said, I have one of my favorite entertainers tonight, Karen Oberlin. Anytime we get a chance to sit down and chat with each other, which isn't that often, it's always a treat. But here we are together tonight virtually, and I'm not even drinking. But yes, you are. So I raise a glass to you, and I raise a glass to all that you do in keeping the Great American Songbook alive and well and taking it around the world. So thank you. So as I begin with every show, who or what are you celebrating tonight?
Can I celebrate you?
You can celebrate me. I would love that.
Okay, let's celebrate Richard Skipper and what he does for our community, online, in person, year after year. I don't want to make you feel old because I've been there too.
No, I am.
Year after year.
I've earned it.
Yeah, even my son. Wait, isn't your middle name Emery, or there's an Emery in your name?
My middle brother is Emery. Very good memory. Thank you.
Because there aren't that many Emerys around, but my son Emery, when he was 4, maybe, we went to see a Carol Channing show. So he's a big fan too. And I'm going to embarrass him here and say that he cried when he didn't get the ring thrown in his direction. So I think he's over it by now. He's 19, but.
But didn't I give him a ring afterwards?
You did. Yes.
I made sure that he left with a ring. So I just hope that he does not get it appraised. Carol Channing ended up on Nixon's enemy hate list. And she said that she always believed it was because Patricia Nixon had the ring appraised that she gave her at the White House.
Oh my gosh. I hope that's true.
Yeah, I hope it's true.
But compliment. I think it's a compliment, honestly.
But she considered that one of her greatest achievements, that she ended up on Nixon's enemy hate list.
Yeah.
And I think that if you end up on someone's hate list, you must be doing something right.
Yeah, it depends on which hate list. But I mean, just to have someone to think that someone has a hate list is already saying a lot about that person. So I would hope that neither of us are on a hate list because we don't want to know anyone who has a hate list.
Well, to quote Carol Channing again, Carol Channing once said to me, sitting in the back seat of our car, believe it or not, she said, please understand, Richard, that for every person who likes you in this business, there are an equal number who don't. Accept it, get used to it, and it'll make life a lot easier for you. It's not necessarily true, but it does say it, puts things in perspective.
To
So
not need to please
really,
everybody, but nobody could ever hate you. So I want to celebrate.
there are a few out there, trust me. I want to delve really into the trajectory of your career and your love of this music that I love so well as well. Today I was listening to your music thanks to my device that I won't mention my name because he will go off on me if I do that.
Right.
But there's so much to listen to because how many albums do you have altogether?
I have 4 solo albums. I'm on some other mixes, but 4 solo albums. I have 3 of them right here, but because we're going to talk about that later.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And is music always playing in your household?
Yes. David and I, my husband and I, will play sort of similar styles of music, but we also have kind of far-reaching interests as well. So the sort of contemporary music that Emery's listening to, we're interested in that too. We're just interested in people who have something interesting to say or stories to tell, like these songs that we love do. And I think there are some contemporary songs that fulfill that, that have that story, have something that really can speak to people. But most of them are, I think, songs like Rodgers and Hart songs and songs that are from the songbook. They really knew how to do that, how to bring us out of ourselves and bring out parts of ourselves. I think kind of what you and I do is we're storytellers. Right. Mm-hmm. So we want a song that's, even if it's first person, if it's third person, it doesn't matter. It's seeing a whole arc of a story and seeing it through and finding sort of finding all those colors and phrases and to make it as real to ourselves and of course to, God willing, people who are listening to us, make it really come across in the way we want. So.
Absolutely. I chose the word fearlessness as our word of the day because in this business, that's something that you have to have. And I wonder if it's something that you feel that you have in spades. And if so, if it's something that you feel that you've always had, or if it's something that you feel that you've had to develop as your career has grown over the years.
That's a great question. I feel that I pushed through fear a lot and had to kind of push myself through it. Mm-hmm. I was thinking when you said fearlessness too, though, I thought of raising a child. You have to kind of be fearless. You're afraid for them, but you have to be fearless in certain ways too. But I think musically, I've had to, I think, develop that. But I've always had a little bit of I'm an adventurous spirit, I think. So I've always had that sense of wanting to try new things and be new places and explore new bodies of music. But, the super nerdy side of myself just wants to, read through the Lorenz Hart biographies and find new lyrics and all that kind of stuff. But then putting all that together, you definitely have to face your fear. Every time I say it's like having a new baby when you put a new show together, a new album together. So I'm reminded again of that.
Well, this may sound like a cliche question to ask you, but having a child, and both you and your husband are in the business. I mean, he, is, I think of him more as academia than what you are doing. But what's the secret? How do you balance it? For you personally, how are you able to balance it all?
I have no idea. No. That's also good. It's juggling. It was always more of one, more of the other, depending on what his needs were. I think it's important when you raise kids.
No, you're talking about Emery's needs or David's needs?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's healthy for kids to see parents who are passionate about things and follow their dreams and follow their passions. So I've always felt like that was important for him. Also really important for me, just to, all of that. And he's, as you know, he's come to a zillion shows, and we've been able to introduce him to that music. And he's actually performed at a few of my shows. Last time I was at the Pheasantry, which was, 2019. He was in the show. He sang a duet with me and at Birdland and other places. So, he went to LaGuardia.
Skipper celebrates.
That is something to celebrate.
Well, no, he was in. He appeared in our show.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
He was so little then. Now he's 6 feet tall. Anyway, so back to the music.
No, but I pulled up a question today, and the question that I pulled up, because I pulled random questions, out of the air, and the question was, and I'm gonna put you on the spot, so forgive me.
Uh-oh.
It says, share something vulnerable with someone that you care about to deepen your connection. So I'm going to ask a question to deepen our connection. So,
oh boy,
in this business, from where I stand, you have had such success in the world of music, in cabaret especially, with the reviews, the awards, the accolades that you've received. And again, I'm putting you on the spot with this question. What aspect of the business has been a struggle for you?
Yeah, I could probably think of a couple things, but pushing my boundaries. It is facing fears. I think I don't really feel like I have a stage fright that disables me in any way. I've been performing since I was a toddler, as you can see by a certain picture that's going to come up.
Well, I'm going to bring that picture up now because there it is. And I love this picture. I mean, you were destined for show business.
Yeah, I was going to say, who could ever guess that this girl would be in, sparkly cabaret dresses? Who would ever guess that? Right?
Well, the reason I asked for this question, I think you said that you are probably around 4 years old at this point.
I think. Little.
Yeah. And I asked for a photograph from this period in your life because to me, to be at that age is such a pure self. And I remember Emery sitting in the audience of my show. And the interesting thing about when I was performing as Carol, to go there for a moment, and even being in Provincetown and when I was performing there, parents would come up and ask me, is your show okay for me to bring children to? And I would say, absolutely. I never get off color. I never go in that direction. And although I was at a couple of shows this past week where there were kids in the audience and the performers on stage still went there and they went knowing that there were kids in the audience, but that was their show. I would assume that it was on the parents that they brought them to those shows.
Yeah, I think certain kids can handle things. You kind of know your kid and what they're able to process. I think that's the important thing. If they're too, I think parents know that, and if they don't, it's too late. So, no.
but I bring that up for this reason because, Emery, he went for the ride, and I think he accepted that I was that person on stage, that character playing that role. Absolutely. And I think that most children, especially at that age, also do the same thing. I asked for that photograph at that age because to me, and I've said this before, it's the purest self. Yeah. It's the time in life before people start telling you who you should or should not be. Obviously, either whether it was coming from you or your parents, or outside sources, there was a spark there that said you belonged in a spotlight. Where did that inclination to be in the spotlight come from?
I do have performing parents. My father's a symphony musician, so that's very different, but it's still performance. I think when you just see a parent on stage and you grow up that way, that can lead to that. But I think I was also I was unstoppable, and I was either cartwheeling or on stilts or something. And my parents just probably said, just get her into a kids theater group or something. And then that's, when all hell broke loose. So I think, and I was musicals, musical after musical. So I did that as a kid. And then I did want an academic career in a way in college. So I did, I studied English literature. I'm always sort of interested in other passions outside of music. I think that's can be a little bit healthy, just to take a little step away and then come back in. But this is really where my heart is. But I'm still thinking about that that vulnerability question, and I think it ties really well into the 4 or however old I am there 4-year-old picture of myself. In that, I think just getting outside of sort of pulling myself in and being able to fully marinate in the work on stage was probably something that I had to be fearless about or push through, because I was no longer a pure-hearted 4-year-old. You have all these other things going on. But I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing to sort of not just get comfortable, to always be kind of, even when you're in that moment, just really trying to pierce through and adjust, calibrate, even while you're in the middle of it. I guess have grown to really, really appreciate that challenge.
Now, I have a question from one of our viewers that I think you know very well, David. And he says, he's watching, and he says that he's heard you talk about the difference between fearlessness and bravery. Could you tell us about that? So thanks, David, for the question.
He didn't just come in from the other room and hand me a card.
Whether he did or not, I appreciate it.
He's literally 10 feet away, I think, with the door closed. Okay. Thank you for that question, David Hajdu. Yes. So I think I talk about this, about the fearless girl downtown. I love her. She's like a little girl with her hands on her hips in front of Wall Street. And she's just, facing it all up. And all these little girls have pictures with her. And it's so beautiful to see that, because she's really inspiring. But I don't love her name, only because I think no one is utterly fearless. I think we have to be aware of our fears and face them and acknowledge them, but still be brave in the face of fear. So that's something that I've put a lot of thought into, I think, just because you can't just push it away. If you try not to think about something, you think about it more. And I think fear can be something like that, that, you sort of have to lean in a little bit.
Great answer. And thanks for the question, David.
Thanks.
But there's, a lot of kids take dance classes, singing lessons, piano lessons, everything, but very few actually go beyond and pursue it as a career. What was the deciding moment for you where you said, this is what I'm going to really pursue as my life's passion?
Yeah. I think I felt predestined from when I was young. And I think actually stepping away and having, sort of an academic life, that refresher was really helpful in, there's nothing like absence to make you realize what's missing, like COVID, during COVID. And,
Yeah.
you know, we all felt that so strongly. And I think that was a really healthy thing for me, because then I realized how much I'd missed it. And I started taking theater classes again and singing classes again. And then I went to Circle in the Square Theater School and got an agent. And immediately she said, well, can you sing? And I thought, well, I don't really have a book of stuff. I know a ton of songs, but I don't really have that. So that's when I really had to start stepping it up, and just learning a lot of new material and getting that together, getting my books together. And I toured a whole bunch in musical theater, but I realized, and I'm not sure how to say this, so I love theater. And whenever I'm in a theater, I think, I miss this smell. I miss this feeling of being in a theater 8 times a week, you know? But I just wanted to have my own, more creativity on my side. And that's, I want to get delicately around that, because there's a ton of talent and creativity in performing musical theater, as we all know. Sorry. So oops, that's my watch. Sorry.
Did your watch just say sorry? Did you say that?
She's polite.
Yes. Yes.
So
no, I understand exactly what you're saying, because I mean, and for some people, whether this is the right phraseology, excuse me, you feel that you're more suited for that than for the other. But
I think so. Yeah.
But even when you were doing a solo show, you're truly not doing a solo show, because it's all about collaboration. It's the musicians, it's the lighting, it's everything that comes together to make that. Was there a particular moment that made you want to do the switch?
I think just putting on my own first cabaret show, it really opened me up in a different way. And it also comes from waiting tables. So Steve McGraw's, do you remember Steve McGraw's? Anybody out there? So I was
the triad.
So yes, right. It was the 2 floors then, and it was I was a singing waiter. Forever Plaid was upstairs. I was with Michael Winther last night at Birdland, the amazing Michael Winther, and that's where I met him. And I got to see Laurie Beachman. I got to see, so many performers, and there are a lot of musical theater performers too who were performing cabaret, but so many shows. So I just fell in love with the art of that, and making your own song choices that are really specific to you or me, and being able to mix it up too. So you're playing one character in one song, and then the next one you're doing something completely different. And then you have those creative choices with your musical director, as you're saying. I love the creative aspects of it. I just had Ted here, Ted Firth, and he wrote all these arrangements for the show. And he'll be with me and Steve Doyle on Thursday at the Beachman. There's my plug, 7 p.m. And
we're going to get more plugs in a few minutes.
Right. Okay. Excellent. But working with him, I've worked with him, as he pointed out, 21 years. I said our working relationship can legally drink now in the state of New York. And but that kind of collaboration where I'll say, well, what if we put these things together? And we both have ideas, and it's just always back and forth. John Weber, same thing. It's just, you're kind of, you're digging in, and you're, like creating sculpture. It's like, it's fascinating to me. And then, learning about your subject, or trying to think of the material that's going to balance out how the show is structured and how to put it together. And I have worked with some amazing directors too. Very often I sort of do that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the lighting people and the audience. I mean, how much do we realize how important audience is? Like, this is fantastic to be able to reach people who can't be in New York, and I think we'll always do this. And the fact that you do this is really, really important. God, I missed the.
Oh, but I will tell you, being in Provincetown this week and seeing all the shows that I saw, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I cannot wait to be on stage again. I cannot wait to do it again, because it's been over 2 years since I have done any work on stage myself, and I miss it. And but I didn't realize how much I missed it until this past week. Seeing so many of my friends performing live again, and how much I really wanted to be up there. So when you did your first cabaret show, was it at Steve McGraw's?
It was at 88's.
Wow.
It was called This Is So Silly. David still has a card up above his dresser. It was called Karen's First Cabaret with a K. Very clever, right? Karen's, very creative and clever and edgy. No, definitely not. But it was really, I loved 88's, and I loved the experience. And that was such a beautiful room. I'm going to assume that you auditioned for Irv Rabel, or did he know you so that you didn't have to audition? I came in through a director friend who said you should do your show here, and he made the connection through Irv. But I got to know him pretty quickly, and we were friends. So, oh,
there it is.
David just brought that in. It's like my old headshot.
I love that. Oh my! And you look the same. You haven't changed.
Yes, exactly, precisely the same. But I loved Irv. I loved that place. I was really sad when that went away. But then I did do a show at Steve McGraw's. That was, I guess, my second show, and just gone from there. And I think of a new subject or a new. My mind starts going, and I just want to dig in, and I want to read the material, and I want to, look at the songs and see if I can seek out people maybe in the estate who will have songs that we didn't know. We have a song, Michael Feinstein gave it to Ted for us, that's never been sung or performed or recorded or before. It was probably editing room floor song. That's in the show.
I have another question from David. So he says he'd like to hear about the doll sitting on the piano behind you.
Oh my God. All right, David. I
feel like I've got Ed McMahon on the side here.
I put this out especially for you because I thought you would appreciate it. I can't do this left to right thing. Here we go. It's Doris.
Yes.
He gave it to me for Christmas 2 years ago.
Wow. I thought it was KT Sullivan.
It could be.
It does look a little bit like KT, but I love Doris.
I'll have to tell her.
And I'm a huge Doris Day fan. For anyone knows me knows that I'm a huge Doris Day fan.
Yeah, so I put a whole bunch of things out.
Yes, I see her all around you.
I'll see my dreams here too. So I thought you'd appreciate that because I had a show.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, so many years.
Did you ever perform at Carmel?
I did for her very last official birthday. That was 97. She was 97. So that was 3 years ago because it's her centennial this year.
Yes.
And she was not well. We didn't know she was doing that badly, but so she wasn't part of the festivities, but she was in her home and knew about everything that was going on. And I performed the show twice at her inn, Carmel by the Sea. So at her pet-friendly inn.
I stayed at the Cypress Inn. I loved it. Yes.
It's beautiful, and it was just so. It was like, a dream. It was just such a dream come true, and to be with all these other Doris Day fanatics. I mean, fans, and like you and me, and I could skip sort of the basic biography And I created a show especially for them that had a lot of like the tidbits, nitty gritty of the songs and her experience with the songs and that kind of thing. Because I think that they already knew all the basics about her childhood and, in Cincinnati and their husbands and getting into Hollywood and Les Brown and his band of renown. And, we could just spend the hour doing that. But it was glorious. It was great to be there. And I have a recording of her introducing me that I play because of another connection that we had. And I have some letters from her. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah. I'm sad that she's gone, but
she's still with us. Thank God for the music and for people such as yourself who keep the music alive. But I want to go back to Karen with a K at 88. What are your memories of that night, that first time that you were stepping on stage? In Frank Langella's book, he talks about that moment of stepping from the dark into the light. And that moment of stepping on stage for the first time in your own show, it's just you, microphone, the lights, it's you up there. And you know that this is home for you.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. Is I felt, I think, both terrified and completely comfortable and at home, somehow coexisting. Because it was so new, it was scary, and it was just me. So, my God, this is just me. But it felt so good. It just felt like this is right. I've made the right choice here. In musical theater, I was, before the Red, I was, blonde, very soprano looking. And I could hit those notes, but that's not where my voice lives. It's more in the Doris Day warm territory. I'm not going to say my voice is like hers. I'm just saying that place.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always tricky getting it to be cast in certain roles. I'd probably be more appropriate now, older with a lower voice, but it didn't quite, I think, connect all the time in musical theater. They just weren't. I couldn't just play anything. I talked to Sarah Rice, the wonderful Sarah Rice.
I love her.
Oh, I love auditioning. It's like, well,
some people do. Yeah, I actually like auditioning, believe it or not.
You did. I bet you did. I found like it was a great exercise. And obviously I did get some work that was really wonderful and exciting and satisfying. But it was, I knew when I started 88s, and I just wanted to figure it out. I wanted to learn more and more and more and more. And that's what I think, when you've hit it for yourself. It's just it's like a bottomless trove of songs and information and styling and phrasing and listening and that it just couldn't, and it's been that way ever since. So yeah, and I think whenever somebody just says, okay, this is who she is, I want to stretch that a little bit.
Mm.
I do. I enjoy just kind of trying on different things for size, and you hope it works, and it's not going to work every single time. And that's another thing that, we have to, it's like, I think I could hear Carol Channing saying this too, that, you can't win them all. You have to see the long game.
And she had a few flops in her history as well. But you knew that you were home when you got to 88s. But how long did it take you to feel that you were embraced by the cabaret community? Obviously, did you have an audience right away? Obviously, you may have been able to bring your paying audience with you from Steve McGraw's as a singing waitress.
100%.
I was a singing waiter, so that always helped. So I know that.
Yeah.
But how long did it take you to feel that you were part of the community?
I think that was a slow burn. Just you meet people and you meet people and you meet people and you go to their shows. And I'm not talking about quid pro quo. I'm just saying, you just start meeting people and sort of figuring out who you have most in common with, and supporting people, and just wanting to be. I loved the full enveloping atmosphere and acceptance of what we do too. That it's not ageist, it's not sexist. It's we take people. There are exceptions, I'm sure, but take people for who they are, and we don't need them to be someone else. So I feel like we can sort of be ourselves. So I think it took time, bit by bit, and
putting it together. Yes,
putting it together. I remember
when you do a show called Cabaret with a K. You have free reign to make that whatever you want it to be. Obviously, as time has gone on, you've done these incredible theme shows where you are honoring, which brings us to where we're going to go with your Lorenz Hart show. But with that first show, how did you decide on the material that show was going to be? And did you have a certain arc that you wanted to bring the audience? What did you want the audience to come away thinking after being at your first show?
I think the 88th one was a musical person I was working with. The name's going to escape me right now.
Mark Malamed.
Mark Malamed, you saw that, yes.
Yes.
So he kind of led things and brought me material, and I think that wasn't a bad thing just to start out, because I just didn't know anything, and I didn't know 88s, and I didn't know musical directors, and I didn't know how to do it. So I think that was very helpful just to sort of break things open. But once that Steve McGraw's show was probably where I was really deciding on material for myself, and that was, I think, the first one where I really felt like I was making all the creative choices and finding things like by myself, I'll go my way by myself, and I discovered that, and I thought, this is so brilliant, and it's such a message of strength, and just one of the songs. I'm trying to think of the other material that was in there, but it was more of a variety of songs than two. And then, no, that's not right. David's going to correct me. Has he written to you yet? No. It was my first Daring Dames. That was Daring Dames at Steve McGraw's, and it was directed by Barbara Lee. So it was the first version of that. So it was about strong women, and I think, speaking of fearlessness or bravery or however you want to put it, it's the same idea. But I think I just really wanted to kind of own that and to say, I'm gonna be strong. I'm gonna be strong. Okay. And just honor women that I thought were sort of fierce and brave, and had done things that were sort of stepping outside the box, and from Loretta Lynn to lots of different women. I mean, you could say that we've all had to be brave in our own way, but that was exciting. And then I actually brought back that show. It was supposed to be March 13th, 2020.
Oh, no.
On March 12th.
Everything shut down.
I just thought, I could have done it. I do know people who did shows on March 13th. I was just too afraid of hurting people if that was, and it just every minute, you remember, we don't need to go back there necessarily, but so I was going to do it then. So then John Weber and I had it virtually, so it's probably out there somewhere, but I think it's something that I would want to keep doing and changing, altering here and there, depending on how I'm feeling about it at that moment. But I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it out there. So it was something that I thought, this will be a good message. This will be a good thing to explore about brave women in music, whether the songs are about brave women or by brave women or were performed by brave women. It was sort of these daring dames of all different shapes and sizes. So that was that show. And then I was breaking into the Doris Day material within a few years after that. And I had met Kitty Scribella and made my standards.
Yes.
And yeah, that was such an exciting time. It was an exciting time of self-discovery, I think.
I want to talk about where you are now. And with this new show that you just performed in London, why this show at this point in your life? Is there any particular reason? And why is this particular music resonating with you right now? And has COVID made a difference in the way that you're approaching this music now?
Yes. So I've always wanted to do a Larry Hart show. I talk about in the show of seeing Mary Claire Harron's Lorenz Hart show at Rainbow and Stars, and how it changed me. And I was sort of hearing this, how piercing and heartbreaking and human the songs were, even though they were written so long ago. I just thought, God, he's one of my favorite lyricists. So I've wanted to do it for a long time, but other people were doing big Lorenz Hart shows that were so fabulous. So I wanted to wait until it was the right time, but it's something that's always been, sort of living in the back of my head. And COVID was a sad time. There's just no getting around that. It was difficult. And he was a very complex man. No one could be wittier than Larry Hart, but also no one could be more just devastating and heartbreaking. So it was not a show I was going to do during COVID, because it would just, I think, be too much. That was the time for Doris Day, And, but I think there's still, this lingering bittersweetness. I think we've carried some of that, melancholy. We're so joyous to be around each other, and there's so much, gratitude. I'm so, so grateful for so much, like never before. And, but there's, I don't know, it's still a complicated time, I think. And he's a perfect, complicated character. And so I was just really feeling his songs and that material in a way that was maybe even a little bit new to me. So it felt.
I know that when you take on a subject such as Larry Hart, you really do your research and you dig really deep. What have you learned about yourself through his music?
That I should give myself more time to learn his lyrics. Oh my gosh. Internal rhymes and just so many words, but they're all so delicious that you can't leave out those verses that Robert Kimball's book, all these things that are very few other places, or Dorothy Hart's book as well, edited by our friend Michael Colby, and or researched, I should say.
I have a question from one of our viewers, Brad. What did you learn about Larry Hart that you didn't know before?
I think a lot. I knew he was an alcoholic. I knew he was emotionally challenged. I knew, a lot of that. I didn't know about his closeness to his family, his parents, how he would be this wild guy. I knew he was also closeted gay, and that was obviously very difficult for him. But he would sit at home with his parents and quietly play pinochle, and there's this quiet serenity that he would find in those moments. Not when he was waltzing down the stairs in his fancy robe with the cigar and the drink and so there was this other side to him. There were so many things. I didn't know that. I didn't quite understand how prolific he was too. I didn't see the whole body of work sort of together. Mm-hmm. I knew he'd written a lot of songs. I didn't know Rodgers and Hart had been the kings of Broadway for such a long time too, and how long it took them to find success. And I tell this story, it's just a great story about the Garrick Gaieties that they were just about to give up. Max Dreyfus, the main man in the music business, heard Manhattan, Richard Rodgers was playing it, and he looked over his head and said, there's nothing of value here. And they were going to give up. And Richard Rodgers was about to take a job as a baby's underwear salesman. And Hart convinced him not to, and to do this little review and put Manhattan and these other songs in the Garrick Gaieties. And that was their huge,
It's amazing. On a dime, it could all change.
Yeah, isn't that? It's like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that and how, but reading the biographies of how, Larry Hart was older and had already than Richard Rodgers and had already kind of been at it for a while, doing all these college shows and all this stuff, but just seeing it unfold in real time and how long it took them. And it's a good lesson about perseverance, I think, sticking with it. So I've actually thought about that too, and about, okay, you just gotta play the long game and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And they were seeing all these people have success, Jerome Kern and, around them become these, incredible successes. And it just kept escaping them over and over again. Wow. And then boom, Garrick Gaieties, they were off and running.
Well, you're going to be off and running. You're going to be at the Laurie Beechman Theater, and you open, is it this Thursday night that you're opening?
Thursday night. Yeah, I'm sure we'll add a date or two, maybe in the fall. But this kind of came up quickly because I wanted to do this show with Ted Firth. And as I told him 20 years ago, I said, I'm not going to be able to book you. So I have to take what he has.
It is so difficult. I know. So,
I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for you, Richard.
I'm grateful for you. All of the information will be on the YouTube channel. Everyone who's watching, we want people to go, obviously, and see the show live. So as soon as you add additional dates, we will get that information there as well. So we are going to give away one of your CDs. Do you want to, since we've talked a lot about Doris Day, you want to, or do you have a particular one you want to give away today?
Yeah, well, I don't have the Doris Day one out, but I have them. I actually have all three here. And I would be happy to sign and send all four of them.
As a package?
I would be.
Okay, so listen to that. You get 4 CDs.
If they promise to listen to them.
They have to promise to listen.
No one listens.
And you have to do a selfie when you get them. And you have to tag both of us. And you have to tell everyone how much you love these CDs.
Please.
Yes. So it's all about getting the word out there. And if you're able to go on Thursday night, she can sign them in person. That's even better, isn't it?
Absolutely. I would be
great
happy to do that.
Great. So I've got some.
I answer his question. Oh, sorry, Richard.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I answered his question about stuff about Larry Hart that I didn't know. Did he want more musical information, or did that do it? Well, he could let us know.
Okay. So I've got some questions here as these are just some fun questions I call them my wind down questions. And the first question is a question I haven't even looked at yet. It's a surprise question. And they're silly questions. Are you a game player? Do you play Monopoly? Did your family play games?
Yes. And my husband, my son, and I are huge game fanatics. We love our new favorite is Rummy Cube. I think we'll play it tonight after the show. Okay. Now you've inspired me.
So when you play Monopoly, which piece are you? That's the question.
Oh, I think maybe the shoe is usually, because these boots are made for walking, for sure. That's just what they'll do.
It made sense. I always would go for the little dog because it reminded me of Toto.
Oh, so, yes.
Again, I have a calendar. It's an inspirational calendar. My friend Howard Tucker, if he's watching tonight, gave me this calendar. And just these inspirational expressions. And I love this. It gets me through. And it says, the more I can quiet my mind, the louder my gut instincts are. And you are, with music and everything, how do you quiet your mind?
Oh, I felt better just hearing that. So important, especially when you're raising a kid. And we all have very busy lives in so many ways. Breath. I am a yoga teacher too. I just do it really just for the love of it these days, just a class or two a week. But and I practice and just breathing. You know, I say to myself more than anyone else, just especially during COVID when there's so much anxiety, is just full, slow, deep breaths. Close your eyes. Even one can change everything. 1, 2, or 3, and just be and breathe. It sounds so like it can't really work because it's too easy, it's too simple. But for me, it got me through that, and being with my cat, I think.
Well, they get us through. My dog's scratching at my door right now. No, I have this background. It's a beach background, believe it or not, because believe it or not, today is National Bikini Day. Are you a beach person? Do you like the beach?
I like evening walks on the beach. It sounds like we're on a dating site, but long walks on the beach.
We are.
With my toes in the water. I have been. I'm not going to be able to lie out in the sun for 3 hours. I want to.
Me either. You and I are on the same page on that.
I want to walk. I want to play a game. I want to, splash in the water, that kind of thing. I used to water ski. I don't know if I could do that anymore, but
sure you can. So, this is my next question. What are some things that you realize now as you get older, and especially being in this business? I'm going to paraphrase this question a little bit. The business has changed a lot. I think you and I both hit the scene about the same time.
Yeah.
And the business has changed a lot. There are things that we both embrace, and there are things that we go, oh my God, I wish that those elements were back. What are the things that you like the most that have changed in this industry? And what are the things that you miss that are no longer in place?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I think, the Algonquin comes to mind of things that I miss, clubs like that. And long runs, like 2 or 3 weeks, that kind of thing, or even 5 days in a row or 3 days in a row. I miss that a lot. But there's always just new, exciting energy and people doing innovative things. So I think I was so moved by how creative people got during COVID too. And just trying to keep that art happening and keep it going, like you, especially. And that was really exciting. And I thought, this is such a we will not be stopped kind of a community. And that's really beautiful. And I think I've felt inspired by that always, but especially now. And we didn't go into this to make big bucks. Right? Leaving musical theater was difficult in that way, as I thought, not that I was making huge, but somebody else is paying and it's equity and you have all that stuff, cared for. So you have to be in this for the right reasons and you have to love it. And I do love it. And I think the new energy of right now has brought that to light more than ever. And the feeling from audiences, So I was worried that our scene is going to sort of peter out when clubs like the Algonquin close, but then we have Feinstein's 54 Below. And we have so many clubs and new clubs opening up. So I think we won't ever be without the music. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else just right now. It's so kind of ongoing, but right now that I love. I just went to see Anais Reno last night, and she went to high school at LaGuardia with my son too. So I'm close with her and her mother, and she's such a brilliant talent. And I just love that she's 18 and she's this old soul, and she can phrase and she can sing like she sings. And her pianist was 20, and he was like a Ted Firth when I first met him at 23 or 24. And so that's exciting. It's a big relief to see that there's this discovery for these young people, and that they're going to keep it going. And there's just going to be this ongoing cycle. I find a lot of comfort and joy from that.
Wonderful. Again, from my calendar, just admitting that something is a challenge in my life often makes it easier to sit with emotionally. I think we talked earlier a little bit about the challenges. I mean, getting through COVID was a major challenge for all of us. And again, thank God you have David and Emery there with you. But what got you through it emotionally?
Yeah, I do think it was the music. I'm going to say it's my pet. It was our pets too, because our pets didn't know there was COVID or a certain political situation for some of it, etc. Breathing, yoga, but hope. There's always been hope and love. I mean, I think we all felt that. Again, it's such a simple answer, but it's really at the heart of it all, right?
Absolutely. One of my favorite books is called The Right Words at the Right Time. Marlo Thomas, their essays, where she had all of these famous people do an essay on the right words at the right time. And I want to ask you, in your own life, the right words at the right time in your life and or career.
So what writers or
No, when someone said something to you and it was just what you needed to hear at that moment.
There have definitely been examples of that, and pulling it out of a hat. Let's see if I can do this. I think people have said similar things to me that, like what you just said, of don't go away from fear. Avoiding is just learning that avoiding doesn't help. And just to lean into life. I think I read certain bell hooks, books like that. I was sorry to lose her. We lost her last year, I guess. She's such a beautiful writer. So I'll go to her essays for inspiration, because she's not always, there's fierceness in some of what she's writing, but it always is permeated and based on love and acceptance. And I hate, I understand that we have to say tolerance. I never liked that word either. Like the bravery, fearlessness thing, but because tolerant, I think we need to do a lot more than tolerate, right?
Thank you. Well, David, he has Barbara Lee with a question mark. So perhaps it was something that Barbara Lee said to you. Was she your first director of Cabaret?
Yeah, well, she was for the Steve McGraw's one, the Daring Games, and I loved her. I loved her so much. And when she was fading out, we had a big benefit. Matsuki and I produced a benefit for her, and she sang along, because I'm going to get very choked up. But the music is still there, even when the mind isn't, and it's just such a beautiful thing. But yes, she said, Karen, stop trying to sound good. And that was a huge, so thank you, David. He's really good at pulling those things out. And when I've said that in a show, I've said, well, that'll explain a lot of what you're hearing. But because of course we want to sound good, but to not make that primary, I think we can broaden that out into life too, to not just be nice for nice sake, but to make it have real meaning and friendships and be kind, but with not just false kindness. I don't know. There's, you know what I mean? Just the, like, more of a grounded, genuine self kind of kindness and living. So that's something that I've been trying to do, I think, especially recently, maybe during COVID too, because you could see how vulnerable people were. And I think it was more important than ever just to be genuine and kind and be able to be vulnerable and to show other people that, you know, we could share that together.
Absolutely. I recently interviewed Joanna Gleason, and which brings me to my next question. And one of the things that she said, which goes along to something that I say at the end of my shows, which I will get to in a few moments. And she said that at the end of her shows, she always tells everyone to reach out to a friend on a Sunday night, because Sunday nights are, for a lot of people, a vulnerable night for people. It's the end of the week for some. It's the beginning of the week for some.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you feel on a Sunday night?
Yeah, I do believe in that, and I think Sunday or Monday, I try to do that too. We've had some family stuff going on. I lost my father just a couple months ago. I don't mean to do this at the end of your show, and my mother hasn't been fully well. So, but it's increased our seeing each other and talking so much more. She likes to text, believe it or not, so we do a lot of that just throughout the day. And that's improved my life in a way that I thought maybe, not that I was too old for that, but that I didn't realize that it was missing until it was, you know, was corrected maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just really good to reconnect. So I think that's great. Who can I reach out to on Sunday? I'll think about that.
Well, I'll give you the secret to that in a little bit.
Okay.
What is the biggest culture shock that you have ever experienced? And there's been a lot of that lately.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in. We went to Philly for to be poll protectors, voter protectors last, for the presidential election, and there was some funny stuff going on, so it was good that we were there, but we worked maybe 14 16 hours, and we were in the hotel that night and watching the returns come in, and I kept thinking 78 million people are voting another way, but I think that was kind of a shock awakening, and it felt really bad at first, but has turned around in a way where you have to dig deeper with people and not hear just the way they voted one way just says everything. That there are certain things, racists, there are certain aspects and certain people that I might not want to have a conversation with them about necessarily, but I think there's a lot of room for discussion, and that maybe I've just been a little short-sighted about that. So I've been sort of in a deep dive, socially, politically, advocacy, and that kind of thing, just trying to learn more.
And I'm right there with you. I agree with that. How do you divide your day mostly?
I always do my vocal warm-up. Every day can be very, very different in my life, but I do try to organize it. I try to plan ahead in whether it's going to be having lunch with a friend or if I'm going to be working all day. Obviously things like right now, I'm here with you and then I'll be working on my show. So it can change a lot, but I always make time for my family, breathing, yoga practice. I try to just sit back and soak things in for a moment because I think that is not a natural state for me. So I have to make an effort to do it. But I want to get that Marlo Thomas book. So
it's a great book and I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
And this is my last question for you. What is the best single piece of advice that you have ever received in this business?
Stop trying to sound good.
There you have it, everybody. Don't go anywhere for a moment. We're going to give away a collection of your CDs, and we'll see who. Thank you all for being here.
I'm looking at all these names. It's so wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Richard, thank you for having us.
Oh my God. Shake Vlogs. I don't even know who this is. So please send me a new fan tonight. Please send me richard@richardskipper.com. Once again, richard@richardskipper.com. And I will put you two in touch with each other. And you'll get the CDs and you'll autograph them. I'm going to remove this. Don't go anywhere for a moment. And I want to say a few words. And then, Karen, I'm going to give you the final word. You'll have the final word tonight. So once again, everyone, I pulled the word fearlessness tonight. We all have to get through our fears right now. There's a lot going on right now. It's my friend Danielle is here, and who is very spiritual. And we talk a lot. The planets are shifting in all kinds of weird ways right now. And every single day, it's like the shoe's dropping again. What's happening today? But don't let it paralyze you. Take it as a pause to think about what we need to do and get through it so that we can hold each other up and we can celebrate each other. And again, that's why I do what I do. And it's the music. It's the music that will get us all through this. And I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she's going through a very difficult time right now. Her mother passed away last year. Her husband's been dealing with a difficult time. I'm not giving away who she is, but she's doing, and I said, call me now. Drop whatever you're doing and call me. Because she said, I feel like I can't breathe. And I said, and my question to her was, how do you eat an elephant? And she just burst out laughing. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, you eat it one bite at a time. You can't take it all and do it. But you need to take one day a week that is your time, where you say, I'm going to go see a movie. I'm going to go see a show. I'm going to do whatever it is that is my time and get away from it.
Yeah.
It's
self-care. That's what I was going to say. Sorry.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Self-care.
It's self-care. We all need to do this. And it's the only thing that's going to, going away this past week, anyone who knows me is I am driven. I'm a workaholic. Today is National Workaholics Day also. I am driven, but I know these things because I have a calendar that tells me. But to go away for a week where I just said, I'm just going to go and enjoy my friends, see shows, and just let go was just such an incredible thing to do.
So
and it was.
We don't know how much we need it until we get there and we think, oh my God, I needed this 2 years ago. Yeah.
It was needed, and maybe the universe was telling us this, and that's why everything shut down and slowed down, and perhaps we need to listen. So everybody take a moment to pause and to breathe from the expert here, and take care of each one of yourselves. If this was your first time here tonight, I hope it will not be your last time. My goal, once again, is to celebrate art, artist, life, and each other. So if it is your first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. And even if you've been leaving comments during the show, when the show is over, please go back to the YouTube channel and leave a comment there and share this with your friends. It will get Karen's name out there. It will get my name out there, and it helps both of us. It's important to get the word out there, and share it around. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return.
Oh.
Go to your Facebook friends list and reach out to the 9th name that pops up, and reach out with a phone call, not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, but a phone call, and let that person know what they mean to you. As our dear friend Sean Harkness always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. So, Karen, I'm going to leave the screen, and you've got the final word. Anything you want to say about anything that we talked about tonight, excuse me, that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish that we had, this is your chance, or just any message that you want to leave everyone with tonight. Don't worry about how to end the show. As soon as the show ends, as soon as you say goodbye, the credits will roll. I thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world and that you will continue to give. And my love to David and Emery. And David, thanks for your contributions tonight. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so
Karen,
much.
it's all yours. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for Richard Skipper and what he gives all of us. And I was on the private chat, so I'm now looking through the chats, the comments, and I can't read them all and keep talking, but about the dog and just the lovely, lovely comments that people have put in here, just interesting thoughts, and I want to spend more time with them too. And thank you, Brad, about my mom and my dad. You know, this is life. It's that cycle. And when we miss somebody who's gone, I think it teaches us how grateful, how lucky we were to have those people in our lives, and think about the gifts that they've given us. And grieving is important too, but just to think about that. And I lost my dog actually 2 days after I lost my father, so that was a lot. But again, there was so much given to me by the person and the animal, and those musical gifts and the kindness and love, unconditional love. So I want to amplify what Richard said and be kind to yourself. And we need to do that before we can really be good for other people. And people say that a lot, but I really think that needs reminding, certainly for myself, that along with self-care, that is good for other people, for ourselves, for others, and that COVID taught us nothing less than that, how much we really need each other and how important that is. Those connections, those human connections are. So thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm sending love and hope out to all of you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you can also take care of yourselves and the ones you love. Be well. I feel like I should sing to say something goodbye, but be well, everybody. Thank you.